the US champion Curt Hennig versus DDP.
Just push through. I mean, this is just DDP in a fucking cummerbund fucking bandage. Curt Hennig can't even make this better.
He can't. He looks great here as well. Stripped entirely of the Mr. Perfect gimmick, which he needs and is always hanging over him without being talked about. They show very quickly a sign that someone holds up and it just says Hennig is perfect. And I did look at that and I did think the WWF at this point, they were looking for anything they could get their hands on to cause like legal problems. And they must have spent a good 2 days working out whether that was actionable.
Yeah.
DDP, the fucking ribs. He's always got his ribs taped up. And
so disgusting.
Like he's rotting.
It was
from
like,
the inside.
I said to Sarah,
a big black banana.
I said, Sarah, that sweaty man who's getting pulled around by the bandages, he's probably the most important wrestler in the world.
He's the most good-hearted one. And the commentators are just going, those ribs will not heal. And I was like, oh, God. It's like off fruit. It's so rank. Oh, God. This is probably, I mean, it's up there with the Malenko-Guerrero match as being the best match on the card. And it's still not very good. DDP comes out in his brown leather waistcoat as well. And it's just like everything DDP does. The brown, you immediately sort of go, it's like shit. It's like shit. And he's never worn that before or since. And he's had a bit of time off for genuine injuries. And I just got the impression he wanted that waistcoat. And he's bought it. And he said to the people, can I have a discount if I wear it on television? Yeah. And they've said yes. And so he's worn it tonight.
He's in Malibu with a babe. Yeah. He's going, babe, do you think this will look good at me? Yeah, darling. She twists a bubble gum around her finger.
She does. And then they put the bin lid back on, chewing on those fish bones that he likes so much. I was sitting, my daughter came out of the bath at this point, and this was on. And she watched this with a look of sort of grave concern stroke interest. Normally she's like, wrestling! Yeah. And she watched this and she looked at both of them and she was just like, hang on here, keeping an eye on these. And I said to her, okay, let's play a little game. I said, I'm not going to tell you what the wrestlers are called. Right. But look at both of them. Yeah. And you tell me what you think the wrestlers are called. And she looked at Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig, and said, wrestler. And I thought, this doesn't work. And I went, what about the other one? And she went, mangrove.
Mangrove.
And I was like, TDP does feel like mangrove. I can that mangrove where I sort of go, sort of stinky, dirty water and twisted sort of vines.
And if his name was Grover, it feels a bit like. Rawr.
And I bet he has a club that's called the DDP's the Mangrove, Diamond Mangrove. Just disgusting. He is very good here for all the sort of mockery of him. He's very good here, but the crowd for some reason do not react to him. They're not in the mood for DDP.
Bandages.
I know. And they pull the bandages down. He's got clean white bandages on and he pulls them down and there's a sort of bit of padding that comes out and it just looks like an incontinence pad. And everything about him at this period, everything it sort of touches, I just sort of go, it's spoiled.
Rangy, sweaty little grot.
It's dirty and it smells and it stinks and it's powdery and I don't like it.
The salt has crystallised.
Who was that awful man?
I saw him I thought it was Nutella he was eating, but it was pate.
There's someone holds up a sign here as well that says Steve Austin is the real icon.
A lot of 316 stuff, so there's a lot of like
inescapable. And I always get the impression here that WCW cameramen and director they don't know who works where and they don't care. And it's all part of not caring being an important part of being.
I think it's important for us to just support wrestling in general because this doesn't look like it's going to be here for very much longer.
I'm going to send this reel to the WWE and say, look how well I can shoot your sides. DDP then hits a diamond cutter, but it comes out of nowhere really, and it's a little bit ham-fisted. And it's just in a sort of transition bit, and he just hits it and then pins Hennig for the US title. First babyface to win, and then he goes out through the crowd as well, and they're like, oh, we should have cheered this guy a bit. You know, we didn't realise this schlub was going to be the one person who brought a bit of joy into the evening. We got to get to Eric Bischoff versus Larry Zbyszko. Nitro is on the line here, and Zbyszko will get a match coming up with Scott Hall if he wins. Who's our special referee? It's Bret Hart. Generic music he comes out to in a black T-shirt. This company does not know how to make stars. There is absolutely no reason as well why Bret Hart wasn't put in a match in Starrcade, the biggest show that WCW puts on in the biggest year it ever had. He was out of contract. He could have performed. He wasn't injured. They just decided to make him the special referee in a match between a non-wrestler and a pensioner. It is such piss-poor booking. Larry Zbyszko is the Nitro commentator fed up with the NWO doing all their paid advertisements. He challenges Eric Bischoff, who he loathes in storyline, to a match. And Bischoff, is the right decision at this time. He was a nuclear hated bad guy. People wanted to see him get his ass kicked. They wanted to see him put in his place. It predates the Vince McMahon as Mr. McMahon stuff as well.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Where the owner gets in. Yeah. And this is Bischoff's very, very first professional wrestling match. It was probably the biggest match as well that Larry Zbyszko ever had during his career, certainly since 1980 when he'd taken on Bruno Sammartino at Shea Stadium in an angle where he'd been the protege who turned on his master. Zbyszko decorated, former AWA world champion during the sort of latter run of that promotion. He'd won the WCW tag team titles with Arn Anderson and was in the Dangerous Alliance in the early 90s as sort of the worst member. But here he is against all the odds in a key angle in the semi-main event slot on the biggest show in WCW history. And the crowd do cheer for him when he comes out. That rarely happened to Zbyszko in the last sort of 25 years of his career.
Well, it's just the way that he just looks like Kevin Spacey. And it's just kind of it's very kind of quite an old face, I think.
He does. He looks good here insofar as he looks like he always looked. But he always looked like a sort of 1970s out of shape 50-year-old professional wrestler.
Amazing. Really,
he's got a wrestling body, an old school wrestling body here. He's 46 when this took place.
Yeah.
And I genuinely think not only do I look much younger than he does.
Yeah, you do.
At a year older, I could have also done as good a match without any training. Zbyszko was chosen specifically as well because Bischoff knew him from his AWA days right at the start of Bischoff's career in the sort of 88, 89. And he was picked because he lived in Atlanta. And that meant that he and Bischoff could meet at the WCW power plant gym and they could train to do this match.
Right.
And they trained for 3 to 4 days a week for an entire month to get this done. I don't know what they were doing in those sessions because this is
what I like about it is because I think that Bischoff is quite good looking in a very American way.
Yeah.
But it's just good to see that ends at the neck.
Yes.
He just looks a bit awkward physically. Like that he takes his clothes off and you go, oh, that hasn't continued. I'm not saying he's out of shape, but I'm just saying it's just.
If you were down at the beach
barely,
and he was at the beach, you go, he keeps himself in shape, but he's not in the beach, is he? He is in a ring where everybody takes steroids, and they spend the ones that even the ones that do, they spend half the day just pumping iron, and they have done for 15 years.
Yeah, and Mr. McMahon must be going, you fucking pussy, wouldn't even put a needle in yourself.
Another vial of some glittering monkey juice. I mean, Bischoff and you can't turn up to a gun show with a knuckle duster, and he's a knuckle duster. And this match, I liked it against all the odds.
Yeah.
I sort of liked it.
It's a nice little. It's wrestle crap. It nonsense.
Is. Zbyszko is good in this. I mean, what you get with him there is he just brings in his old time wrestling. A man who started in the early 70s, and he just does some. There's a great bit where he sort of grits Bischoff's head and just rubs it across the mat. And Bischoff, when he comes up, his nose is red, got those mat burns, and there's just those bits where you go, that's proper stuff that's just passed down, isn't it? No one's doing that today. But Zbyszko is just like, you're in with a guy, just rake his face, you know?
On the commentary goes, see the welts on Bischoff's back? And somebody goes, yes, I do, and I like it.
And Larry Zbyszko may try to end it all right here.
Have your way with him now. Have your way with him now.
That's exactly what he has to do.
It's sexual, baby.
And there's a nice short arm scissor takedown into a head scissors that Zbyszko does. And that was the meat and potatoes of a sort of 70s baby face. And look at him do it here and it still get a reaction. I liked Zbyszko here, and I liked the fact he was having fun. There is a lot of stalling in this match as well. Bischoff goes to the outside.
Bischoff celebrates quite a lot whenever he gets a laser glove.
Some of this was down to the fact that Bischoff, during those training sessions, actually fractured his kneecap.
Right.
And there was a moment during that match where he was like, the pain has become unbearable. And he goes to the outside. And Larry Zbyszko has to start talking to Bret Hart, the referee. Wow, what you doing? What you doing? Hey, ref, I ain't doing nothing.
Yeah.
Because Bischoff was working out whether his knee would be able to stand up to what they were doing. They have a couple of bits in here which they've overthought. So Zbyszko does the rope-a-dope, the famous Muhammad Ali thing where he allowed his opponent to punch himself out, where he just took nothing but punishment, but covered up, so it wasn't terrible. And his opponent just expended all of his energy punching him, at which point Muhammad Ali turns on the pressure. They're wiped out. And they do this with Bischoff, but the problem is, if you were in the arena, you didn't know that's what he was doing. And most wrestling fans, I don't think there is, there's not that much of a crossover between boxing and wrestling. And I got the impression that when they were like, oh, he's doing the old rope-a-dope, most people would have just gone, oh, Bischoff's fucking gassed.
Yeah.
He's not very good at this.
Yeah.
He's actually got really tired, and that makes him look pathetic. Bischoff has a metal plate put into his... Scott Hall has to grab his foot and stick it in. And I was watching Scott Hall really showing off the sort of grabbing of the foot and putting in the plate. And I was like, Scott Hall's a real man. He's just like, feet weren't a big thing in 97. You could touch a man's foot and no one would go, yeah, feet. But he's like got the foot, and I was like, Scott Hall has done it all, hasn't he?
It's just funny because like it really hits home how ridiculous his little shoes are. His little kind of like baseless shoes.
Look, I think, up to this point as well, Bischoff's offence has been quite good. He's doing head kicks and stuff, and no one really was doing that at the time. It's just him and the cat. And that was because they were good mates who just did that in their spare time. But he slips that metal plate in, and Bischoff goes to hit Larry Zbyszko in the head with it. He hits the thing, and Bret Hart then just punches Eric Bischoff. That's not what you do as a referee. You just go disqualification. Instead, Bret Hart punches him, and then Scott Hall runs in. He beats up Scott Hall and puts him in the sharpshooter, while Larry Zbyszko gets what I think is the tie from Eric Bischoff's gi.
Yeah.
And he puts it round his neck and begins choking him. And then Bret Hart just walks over and goes, yeah, Larry Zbyszko's won. And Zbyszko, hey, like that. And again, it was like, how could you not have just gone Bischoff taps?
Yeah,
and that gives you a big end, or pin him with his foot on his neck, and Zbyszko has won. The very fact that like it has to end in a DQ. How can you bollocks that up? How can you bollocks it up?
And I mean, they bollocks it by not securing the bit of metal for his foot,
and then showing the replay.
It flies out before it even hits.
It does. You don't notice that in the match. You think it hits him and flies out into the front row. Bret Hart cannot stop but look at that. He's like, wow, went a long way.
Absolutely flew.
When they show you the replay, they make it really clear that it came out long before it touched his head. I mean, just WCW, they're amazing at getting this wrong.
There you go, Bret Hart.
Answered your question.
Yes, there you go, Bret Hart.